Palantir Technologies PLTR Beginner's Guide. Imagine a piece of software that helps the U.S. Navy approve a shipbuilding decision in 15 seconds instead of 200 hours, and at the same time helps an insurance company decide who gets a claim paid out. That's the kind of company we're looking at today, Palantir. This is an educational walkthrough of what the business actually does, not stock advice, and we are deliberately staying away from anything to do with stock price or valuation. So, what does PLTR actually do? Palantir sells software platforms that take a giant organization's messy data, think emails, sensor feeds, financial records, supply chain logs, and turn it into something humans and AI agents can actually use to make decisions. The company has two roughly equal sides to its business. The first is government, which was about $2.4 billion in revenue in fiscal year 2025, or 54% of the total. That side sells mostly to the U.S. Department of Defense, intelligence agencies like the CIA, civil agencies like the IRS and the VA, plus allied governments in the UK and Europe. The flagship product here is called Gotham, a defense intelligence platform, along with the Maven Smart System for battlefield AI and a newer product called Warp Speed for manufacturing. The other side is commercial, which did about $2.1 billion or 46% of revenue, and it grew 60% year over year. Commercial is where Palantir sells to private businesses, energy companies, healthcare systems, manufacturers, banks. The main commercial product is called Foundry, which is basically an operating system for company data. Sitting on top of both Foundry and Gotham is the newest product, AIP, short for Artificial Intelligence Platform. AIP is the layer that connects modern AI models, like the ones from OpenAI and Anthropic, to a company's real data and real workflows. Behind the scenes, Palantir rents computing power from cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and pays AI model providers for the underlying AI brains. It then bundles all of that into a software subscription. The result is what's called a capital-light business. It doesn't have to build factories or buy warehouses, and that's why Palantir's gross margin, meaning the profit left over after the direct cost of delivering the software, runs around 86%. So who does PLTR compete with, and how does it win? Palantir's moat, meaning its competitive advantage, the thing that keeps rivals from catching up, is rated narrow but widening, according to the analysis. There are really three groups Palantir fights. First, the hyperscalers, big cloud companies offering their own AI tools, like Microsoft's Azure AI and Google's Vertex. Second, horizontal data platforms like Databricks and Snowflake. And third, the AI labs themselves, companies like OpenAI, which are trying to build the same kind of orchestration layer Palantir sells. So why does Palantir win today? Two reasons. First is something the company calls the ontology. Think of it as a master map of every object, person, asset, and rule inside a customer's business, all wired together so an AI agent can actually act on real-world data without making things up. Palantir's president calls this the no-slop zone, in plain English, AI that doesn't hallucinate because it is grounded in your real data. Big institutions like insurance company AIG, jet engine maker GE Aerospace, and Airbus, which just renewed a 10-year contract with 50,000 daily users, have all locked into the ontology. And once you have built your whole company on top of it, switching becomes very painful. The second reason is the government moat. Palantir has top-secret security clearances, deep relationships with the Department of Defense, and product certifications, things like FedRAMP High and IL-5/IL-6, which are basically government security stamps that newer AI startups can't get quickly. The Maven Smart System, Palantir's battlefield AI tool, saw its usage double in 4 months and quadruple in 12. AI startups simply can't enter that arena overnight. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? 3 things drove the last 5 years. Number 1, the rocket fuel was the launch of AIP, the AI platform we just talked about. AIP turned Palantir from a slow-growing data software company into one of the fastest-growing pieces of enterprise software ever. U.S. commercial revenue went from around $300 million in fiscal year 2022 to $1.46 billion in fiscal year 2025, and it accelerated to 133% year-over-year growth in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. The company added 615 U.S. commercial customers, up 42% year-over-year, and the average top 20 customer is now spending $108 million. Number 2. Operating leverage. That's a fancy phrase for revenue grew much faster than costs, so a lot more of every new dollar dropped to profit. Palantir went from chronically losing money to running a 60% adjusted operating margin, meaning 60 cents of every revenue dollar becomes operating profit before certain accounting charges, with just 70 salespeople total. Revenue per employee hit about $1.5 million annualized, which is among the highest in all of software. Number 3. The U.S. government side inflected. After years of slow growth, U.S. government revenue accelerated to 84% year-over-year growth as AI suddenly became a national security priority. The Navy's ShipOS shrunk a manufacturing approval workflow from 200 hours to 15 seconds. The Department of Agriculture awarded a $300 million contract in April 2026. And on cybersecurity, Palantir's tools have been finding thousands of previously unknown software vulnerabilities, what's called a Sputnik moment for U.S. cyber defense. To wrap up, here is the one-sentence summary. Palantir is a software company that sells two big platforms, Gotham for defense and intelligence agencies, and Foundry plus AIP for large commercial businesses that take messy organizational data and make it usable for human and AI decision-making, and that business is split roughly half government, half commercial. As a learner, the things to keep an eye on are how AIP adoption progresses outside the U.S., since international commercial growth has been much slower than U.S. growth, and whether the foundation model providers, like OpenAI, start eating into Palantir's orchestration role over time. This has been an educational overview of the business only. Nothing here is investment advice. Take it as a starting point for your own deeper research.